Hey everyone, and welcome to an all-new episode of Wicked Unscripted, where we have unscripted conversations about some of the most popular reality shows on television. My name is Abigail Adams. I'm your host for this podcast. Joining me today, as always, is the lovely Sarah Talks, and we are here to chat. Well, I was going to say that, but yeah, we'll chat about episode 5 of 46. At least I stopped myself before I had too much of a break.
We are chatty bitches.
Oh, we are. This I think has been the best episode so far of the season, by leaps and bounds. I know some people were very disappointed, in the end, and I don't think that's invalid. I don't think that necessarily like makes the episode worse. Maybe that's just my opinion. I thought it was more interesting than what we have seen in the rest of the season. Doesn't mean it's like the end all be all greatest episode ever, but I was just finally glad.
We still got like a song battle segment, so
that was fun. The Kiss song battle was so much fun. Oh my god.
Yeah, we did get a little bit more gameplay, less fluff this episode. So I liked it. It was a good episode.
Tim's poop comments.
Lots of poop comments this episode.
There was
so many. And you know what? You can't make me squeamish. I am very open. Yeah. I am your girl. You want to talk poop problems too? I get it. I actually just talked to somebody a couple weeks ago who she was talking about trying to go to the doctor before she goes on vacation. I was like, because you can't poop on vacation. And she's like, yes, is that a thing? I was like, yeah, girl, that's a thing. We do stretches. And there we go into her office and laid down on the floor, and I showed her how to do the poop stretches. Like
we're having a poop conversation.
Yes, but like this was a lot of poop talk at different points in time. I didn't even know the water. I hadn't.
You didn't know about before. Aqua dumps?
I didn't realize that was a thing. And now that I know that, I can't unknow that. And I wish I didn't know that.
They really did it. I mean, I'd say I saw more about aqua dumps starting, like, I have a very vivid memory of it coming around, like, wrong time when they started talking about it just super openly. Like, they'd be, like, very discreet about it in past seasons, and I think there's probably a couple past seasons that I'm just forgetting, but, like, it was around that time when they were just like, nah, we're just gonna be openly talking about poop. Just, we're pooping. Like, well, I think earlier seasons, though, they were very open about, like, I had to go shit in this random corner. So, like, you know, I think I was just taken aback because we don't usually get this kind of talk on, especially, like, modern era Survivor. It's usually just, like,
yes.
If it's silliness, it has nothing to connect to that, so. Enough with the poop talk. I promise. I even feel weird talking about it myself.
I'll never feel weird talking about poop, but
well, it's not about that. It's about like
but it was weird seeing multiple poop comments made by different people in the same episode. And it's like this one year. It's like this one year. My family Christmas, we do like white elephant, and love that. It was really funny when someone opened like this camo or bright orange, like this novelty toilet paper. That was really funny until a couple people later opened a gift that was like toilet putt-putt. And it was like a gift, like a putt-putt set to do.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've almost bought it for a couple people.
Yes. And then a couple gifts later get opened. And it's a squatty potty. And I'm just thinking, 1 poop gift's funny. 3's kind of fucking weird.
Also, squatty potties.
For this episode.
Squatty potties are tits.
Can't live without it. But anyways, I digress.
Well, and so the whole point, I don't mind talking about poop. It's about the fact that, like, I was just criticizing the episode for talking too much about poop, and now how many minutes have we been talking about it? Almost 5?
We're being on theme. You know, Abigail, we're just leaning into it here.
Anyways, this episode, I can't start us off without talking about it. Became so obvious to me that something big was happening in this episode just from when it opened. That intro going in, when we saw jumping right back to Jelinski's buffoonery when he was losing his mind on the journey, couldn't play Tevin or Maria for shit. That was one of the first times where I was just like, oh, that's what we've got on our hands today. And then, I mean, obviously, like we saw like a couple other things, like people hunting for idols and stuff. But the big moment was really when Tevin was mentioning that him and Maria had the extra votes. And I was like, so that to me insinuates that we may be seeing Yanu win their first immunity challenge. And surprise, surprise, that is exactly what we got. I did like it, but it seemed very it seemed very obvious right at the beginning. And it was like, oh,
I love that it came with food.
Well, I do too. I think that is the best part for everything. It wasn't even food they had to cook either with their flint. Like they didn't have to make fire and then do all the things in order to have the food. They could just have the food. And it was desserts. It was desserts. It was pastries.
Mr. Tots immediately said, I would have a few bites of fruit. And he was very concerned with the level of carbs they were taking in after being hungry for so long. He's like, they're going to be so sick.
That is how it works.
It is wild to me that is what you thought about.
To be fair, though, he's not wrong to think about it because, like, it does happen. There have been people who have uked after it because there's like, nope, I tried so hard. It's coming back. But I do love a good food reward. And I was really, really happy to see them get that, especially as we're heading into Merge this coming week. I know it's Murgatory. Everybody's been like, don't forget. It's like, how could I forget? They drill it into our heads with this new modern era. And I'm still not a fan of it still. There's still a lot I don't like. Just curious to see how it's going to play out because it's changed season to season, but we'll get to that a little later. I mean,
they all but showed us in the scenes for next week, so.
Well, yeah, exactly. So we're coming into this episode finally. I say it not because I don't love him, but finally losing Banu. They've been trying to cut him loose for a couple weeks now, and it finally happened. I can't go past this point without making a comment about it because I commented on Twitter and it's just like, I wonder, like, if Kenzie really said this or if she got, like, she became a victim of Frankenbite because she suggested that Yanu was the worst tribe in Survivor history. It's like, sweetheart, not even close. Not even close. There have been multiple 2-person tribes, and then there's Stephanie LaGrossa, who in Palau was literally the last one.
She said it as a question, though. She said, are we the worst tribe in Survivor history?
Like, but then she went on to say, she did went on to say, we are in her confessional, I think.
I remember her posing the question, and then they did set a record for going the longest without fire.
Yeah, well, that's Survivor's fault. That shouldn't be a record. And I'm not saying they didn't, but it's like that shouldn't have been a record they had to set.
Yeah.
Because like I still don't think they should have ever lost their flint. I think that's really stupid still. I just don't understand this whole theme of taking away to make it harder on Survivor, like on these players. It's just like, he's like, that's how we have to make it harder, was 26 days and not 39. And it's like, that still doesn't make sense to me. It will never make sense to me. And I just get so irritated by it. I just don't, I'm over it. Sarah knows I'm in a little bit of a mood today. So if I'm a little bit on edge with my comments, I apologize.
Angry Spice is in the building.
Angry Spice. I tried to let go of Angry Spice before we got on here, and I don't know if it's worked so well. We'll see how this goes. But no, I wasn't, I don't know, I'm not mad at her or anything. I was just like, but I remember sitting there and being like, girly, no, lots more tribes. But they are definitely one of the worst, and I won't write that off. I just think when it comes to those three, I wouldn't have ever expected them, had they had more time before the merge. I didn't expect them to whittle down further than that if they were doing 3-person challenges. I just think it would have been able to even out based on who was on the other tribes competing and having to balance the immunity challenges and the rule that's finally come back that you have to sit out back-to-backs. You can't play back, or you can't sit out back-to-backs.
Yep. I feel like I bitched and moaned enough about the competitions to where I put something out in the universe, because we got another competition that, yeah, it was a little obstacle coursey, but it did end in a puzzle. Again.
Thank God.
I'm getting spoiled here, Abigail.
Well, to be fair, though, it's just, I think I'm just getting bored by the challenges, because now that it's been pointed out to me that it's just, I mean, I've known that it's been a lot of the same challenges, but when someone was like, yes, they literally keep these challenges on the island and they just pick whatever they feel like doing, I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, but they weren't putting together a puzzle of a manta ray or a turtle or anything.
Yeah, but the shooting the target is the second most, like,
I would much rather watch them shoot a target, or like last week they throwing the bags up on the things. Like, that is more.
Well, I like the bag throwing. The bag throwing
exciting to me.
Yeah.
Than
throwing,
watching them put together a puzzle.
I like when they do the skee ball skee ball stuff, and they have the holes in the pockets they have to put it in. I'm not saying I don't mind repeating them. It just feels like when it's not puzzle, it very much feels like it's very oftentimes they're aiming for the targets to knock down, and it's like, could we please just like.
I'm not as sick of that as I am puzzles, so I'm very thankful. Like, this is one of those, like, they gave me a crumb and I'm devouring said crumb.
And I'm taking the crumb and I'm throwing it in their face. And I'm like, give me more. No.
You're also angry spice in it, so there's.
We're both in angry spice mode. Let's go for it.
I'm not. I am not. I will be the sugar to your sour. It's fine. We're Sour Patch Kids here on Wicked Unscripted.
I love it. I mean, it's hilarious because the next segment I literally have is more reasons why 3 tribes is not working. So like, let's go into more bitching and moaning. It's just so I'm getting tired of the have not situation that this is creating, that it has created. And I'm curious to see how it's gonna work for Yanu moving forward. Yes, we have seen like Tika, things went well for Tika after they had their not so great streak. So there is hope that like they can actually come together and really run shit in this game if they can figure out social strategy, which they all seem pretty decent with. But it's still just like it's this system of have not. Like, think about the situation. Like, Yanu is literally sitting in the rain being like, what are we doing today? Losing our minds. Ha ha ha. Because they have literally nothing. No food, no nothing. Like, barely anything. And then we go to Siga. And Siga is dancing on the beach. Just going full Dancing with the Stars mode. And I was like, this is part of why it's so frustrating for fans. Because we don't want to just watch 2 tribes just doing fine, and then another tribe just withering away to nothing. Like, what's the entertainment in that?
Yeah.
So, I've been irritated by that, and that just the salsa. Not that I didn't love the salsa moment in itself, and I thought it was fun, but it's
didn't.
I thought it was fun just because you got to know a little bit more about them, but I do understand that it felt very filler to me.
Yeah. I'm not big on the filler.
Oh, I know you aren't. You want no bullshit 24/7.
Correct. Correct.
I just know that we're never not getting that with Survivor anymore. We've begged and begged, and it still feels like they're going la 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 on a lot of things. So it's like, I'm picking and choosing my battles, and that's a battle I don't mind that you choose. I'm just not.
I mean, I get.
I think it's a good
mean, I don't want to
battle.
sound like argumentative or anything, but I personally enjoy this season of the new era more than I have any of the other recent seasons.
Totally.
The competitions are better. The storyline seems to be flowing a little less predictable than seasons past. Again, I'm loving the diversity in the journeys as well. This journey challenge, I fucking love. And it's the kind of challenge like I fantasize about Big Brother having. Like,
If Big
let's do
Brother ever did
cooking
it, I would
trivia.
die. Oh my
Yeah, like
god.
show me your recruits versus your super fans here. Like
Well,
I love this. Loved it. So yeah, I'm still on a real big upswing with this season. This cast is
I am
probably one of
too.
my favorite well-rounded cast we've had in the new era. So yeah,
No, totally.
I have like light constructive criticism feedback. I'm not full on no notes, but it's just like I have some wishes.
I think so. I'm with you on that. I think and I think we talked about it on the last episode, how Lauren Beck from season 39, who I'm not sure if you're familiar with, she made a video being like, I don't know if Survivor's going to survive. I mean, Survivor could be done. And I'm worried about that myself. And if we didn't say that on the pod, we said it to each other last week for sure. It was said sometime when I was talking to Sarah, so I know that.
It was on the pod, yeah.
But like, I am also concerned about it because hear me out. I actually am 100% on board with what you just said, but I don't know if it's enough to overcome the hurdles that they've created for themselves by setting themselves back so far by being, and I don't mind that they wanted to experiment, but they're taking the experiments too far. They're like, okay, so let's try these things because we still like it, but clearly fans want something a little different. It's like, please just listen to what we've been asking you for a very long time. And it feels like Jeff is pushing back on a lot of things. Like, we're just like, hey, we'd just like some more villain characters. And he's like, I don't like those. Boo-hoo.
Yeah.
That's not I don't mean to be a dick about that, but like, that's not necessarily your call unless you want this to just be the Survivor hosted by Jeff Probst and have the literal, like, add your name in there. Cause it's just like, it feels like it's becoming the Jeff Probst show. And I don't mean to be a dick about that. It just feels like it is. And it's getting frustrating for me because I see what the show can be, and there's not like the what you mentioned on the journey, like those kinds of challenges where the challenge that she's talking about, for anybody who might not have seen or forgot, is the logo challenge, where it's literally showing the logos for Survivor seasons past and just saying, hey, who's the biggest super fan? Can you put these in order? It's like, these are the things we're asking for. We've been begging for this stuff for so long. Thank you for giving it to us. Please don't stop. And I just don't, but it's like, it's more crumbs, and I just worry they're giving us crumbs just so we'll go along with what they want. And it's like, okay, but like, eventually you have to stop taking away people's flint. You have to stop taking away people's vote.
And I get that. I think where I'm coming from is I have a different perspective on it because I've built my platform around a show who has literally not taken any criticism, critique, anything we've been begging for, any notes at all. They have kept it the same. We scream louder, we get louder, nothing ever changes, not a single thing. Totally. And then so here you have Survivor who, yeah, they still have 3 tribes. Yeah, they're still taking away votes. They're taking away flints, but they're mixing up the challenges more. The cast is not, 50% muscle bound athletic jock types. It's, we're having more, you don't have the token weirdo. You have like 50% weirdos. And I mean that like as a term of endearment because like we want the Jam Jams. We want the Carolyns. We want those big personalities. And I feel like the show has recognized that. They did a much better job casting. Yes. They're giving us better challenges. We got the auction back last season. Like they are giving. They are doing something. And so I guess when I'm comparing Survivor production to, say, Big Brother production, I feel like I'm being treated better.
I don't disagree. And I just, and I'm not saying you disagree with my point either. It's like, I just, you know, as much as I feel like, oh, yay, Survivor's listening sometimes, it just feels like, to me, it's not quite enough. And I want to be fair. I still love lots about Jeff Probst. I know I've been very critical, but it's partially because what happens is, like, we fans will say, we want XYZ. And then it just feels like all of a sudden we'll see weeks and months later, Jeff goes on a podcast or does an interview where he's just like, no, nope. And not directly addressing what we've been saying, but basically just saying, my way, not how I want. And it's like, hey, we want more edgy stuff. And he's like, well, I want it for families. It's like, okay. What does that have to do with certain edginess and certain, and it's like, if you think that that's a line, like, let parents make that decision. My parents made that decision for me, and I wasn't allowed to watch Survivor for quite some time because of the edginess that it had back in the day. But I look back at it and it's like, what? They blurred their dicks when they pulled their pants down. There really wasn't anything besides harsh language and gameplay. My mom just didn't like the gameplay part. She thought that it was all bullying, and I was like, we need to be a little bit more careful about when we're talking, because she was like, it's about bullying your way to the top. It's like, no, it can be, and like, people need to decide if that's what they want to reward. And I'm not saying that that doesn't exist on the show, but it's just like, it's so much.
That word is so like triggering to me right now, because I literally just got done watching this week's episode of Vanderpump Rules. And
oh boy, I already know what you mean. I apologize for setting off your trigger.
I wanted to like throw something at the screen, but whatever.
I don't blame you. If you know, you know too.
My God. So yeah, anyway,
I'm not necessarily all boo. I know I'm super critical, and I'm also in angry spice mode right now, so I do apologize if that came off way harsher than it needed to be. I just miss old Survivor. I do also want to recognize, before we move on, I know we're not getting old Survivor back ever, and I think that's something that I'm even though I get it, I still react like I'm going to someday, and I need to kind of like work on that a little bit, because that's just ultimately, I don't even want it to go fully back to the way it was, but it just feels like I also blame Russell Hantz a little bit for going and finding that idol without a goddamn clue, because who knows how long we could have gone before we had this idol bullshit where we're just making everything so complicated. Just let people go look for idols. Anyways. I will be much more positive the rest of this episode, because like I said, I actually really enjoyed this episode. I will say though, and I said it in my TikTok review of this, I saw Jem going home from a mile away. Like, it was so obvious from the get. First it started with that like little intro when they were like making it seem like, ooh, so Siga or Nami is going to be going, and I'm like, oh, okay, so who are the really big people that could be going on those tribes? And actually, Jem was not somebody I was expecting to go home. They the edit blindsided me, so massive kudos to them in that, because I'm not sure how much of a last minute decision that wound up being for Charlie and Maria, but they definitely played us for a good amount of the episode, and it was really, really fun. Starting with just Tim starting to kind of poke holes in Jem's story, which was interesting.
Yes, and Jem was going hard. I could see where, and I always do this with like everyone that goes home, kind of trying to see where they're coming from. But Jem, I could see the angle she was trying to play. She was trying to play the like, I'm just trying to figure out how everybody's fucking voting. It did come off. It made Ben uncomfortable. I feel like we're missing some pieces too.
Oh, definitely.
Like
definitely.
There's it wasn't just what we saw that made people kind of turned off by her. I still though stand by, like, here's the thing, I'm really torn, because as a fan, I love Ben and I want more of Ben, and their tribe hasn't been in the bottom. So we're only getting like little snippets, and there have been just so much emphasis, on Purple Tribe. So I'm wanting more. I'm wanting more, and I need to see more of him and his gameplay and him and Charlie. However, he was absolutely the move. You recognized as a tribe.
I agree.
Like that, this really felt like a waste, and it didn't seem like it made any sense to me, especially for the women, strategically at all.
I see it making sense, but I see both ends. I see why, because someone put it perfectly in my comments section. Like, I'd rather go with somebody who's charismatic, who I can have control over at some point, versus the chaos agent, who
But
you struggle to
about to
control
go
them.
into merge, and they're all very aware they're about to go into merge, and you're about to release a personality powerhouse onto the other side who will only solidify more and more bonds and get more and more people behind him. Whereas Jim can come off abrasive and kind of sketchy at times with her gameplay, and it just makes no sense to me why you would risk that, because Ben is going to have the numbers post merge. They're gonna love him. People,
I think they want to ride the numbers, and I think that's part of it, because they feel like,
but that makes him that much harder to get out. So I don't think that this was the move here. I think that they really flopped here, and I don't think there was any fucking whatever. You want to flesh out. You don't want to be the person that goes in the merge with a known advantage. I get it. I can understand that side, but like, why fucking waste your extra vote?
I actually know that's so okay. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was going to be bringing it up anyway. When I saw her use that extra vote, I pooped myself. I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And like, at first I thought she was gonna, like, the way she picked it up off the table, I thought she was gonna take it for herself. I was like, good for you, Maria. Don't waste that vote. You do not need to do that right now. Mother fuck. Love her still.
I want to know what happened with the other girls on the tribe, because all these talks about Ben being the threat he is. How did you get everyone to flip on Jim? Like, weird. I'm hoping we get more of that in the next episode, but like,
I'm trying to. So I think a
Moira
lot of
was
that
the
had to do with
only
the
other vote
divide.
for Ben, and you have all the women on board for this plan.
Well, I think it just really had to do with the men versus women divide, and it came to Charlie and Maria being that swing. I did see that too, though, in like my little TikTok recap. I think the people I'm going to be most curious to hear from are going to be Charlie and Maria. We did get some ideas of, like, especially Charlie, talking about like why it would be advantageous to keep Jem and keep Ben. I want to hear more. I think that's probably going to be the most interesting, one of the most interesting parts of this upcoming. Well, actually, I keep trying to rephrase because I keep thinking about the episode. Next episode's probably just going to be a whole ass doozy. So.
Well, like,
but it's going to be fun to see that first part and see what they say, see how they rationalize it, not just to us, but to their tribe mates. Because that's going to be another really important layer to this as well, is how they're going to tell everybody why because the girls are going to be pissed. The girls were not expecting this. So it'll be interesting. And the girls being now the only one left in the dark was Mariah. So, kind of makes it seem like there might be more to maybe the parents duo to Tim and Maria than we might know. Because also that got mentioned when Tim was on the journey. Tim's like, me and Maria have a parents thing.
I really liked it. It was Q's idea, right? Yeah, it was Q's idea.
I mean, I do, but I also don't like the idea of a male-dominated alliance going.
I don't, but I like that he showed up with a plan, and he's like,
"Oh, totally, smart move for him."
Yeah, let's get our token. You know, it was giving cookout. It's giving parachute alliance, and I'm here for that. I'm here for this. For that strategy. I like that he came in with the plan. He used that time wisely, especially going into merge.
Knowing merge is close. So smart.
I have some thoughts whenever we get to like the tribe photo, as like, you know, who probably in the most danger. We did get to see some clips. But yeah, I'm really excited for the dynamics and everything to shake up, because I feel like some people are in big trouble and then some people are going to really thrive.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen how Jem would have thrived, or not. I just would have loved to have seen how she would have done had they kept her over Ben. It's I feel like that's going to be a move we look back on at the end of the season. And I'm sure, honestly, probably Charlie and Maria are going to look back on and wonder if they made the right move. Because really, I think this is, even though I have complained a lot about the 3-tribe format, this is one of the more fun parts, is that they've only had one tribal council before merge to make a decision. So now they have to like make a much more, like, there's a lot more on the line versus, well, we can get rid of Jem next time, but right now let's get Ben, because this is the time and we know we have time before the merge to get the other threat. So if we can just do this, and then we'll be the core, like, if they had enough time, that could have worked. So I actually don't necessarily mind the 3-tribe format in that respect. Probably one of the only compliments I'll ever give the 3-tribe format. I just had to say that. And that's when Jem started getting really overconfident. I love her. I was afraid to say that at first, because I was like, I just don't want to make it seem like playing hard is just automatically overconfident. But it was like, she was so blind to the idea that other people could have moves going on. It seemed, at least. Like, it seemed very much like it's like my way or the highway, and just not leaving room for the fact that other people could be thinking elsewhere.
I mean, I really like that she said, hey, I'm just gonna be honest, I want to go idol hunting alone. I always like that. I like, especially when you know you have an advantage, pretend you don't.
Yeah.
Act like you would if you don't. And it is really sus. It is really sus to be going into a tribal council, one, overly confident, like you don't need to look for an idol, or two, you don't need to look for an idol because you already have an idol. So I don't care what they say. You get back to your like, after the, oh my God, words. After the
story of my life, challenge, you are so fine.
After the immunity challenge, when you get back to camp, you need to go hunting. Okay. You need to be talking to people, but like, not too hard, not too visible.
There's a line.
But you definitely don't need to be just like resting on your laurels and sitting around poking the fire.
Also, probably shouldn't be bringing a machete to a conversation.
Okay, all right. Listen here. No, I'm kidding. Ben and Jem are both of my draft picks, but I'm just saying Ben was really overly dramatic here about the machete. And honestly, I felt like Jem's talk with him wasn't as aggressive as he was making her sound a lot scarier than she was. I feel like when he noticed she was having same conversations and stuff, like
I thought she was very forceful in that conversation, because she was like, well, who is it? And he's like, I don't know. I'm not giving. Well, if you could, and it's like, at some
if it were me,
say no more.
We're going to tribal council that night, and I'm asking you who you're voting for, and you're not telling me, I'm going to tell you, like, okay, I want to vote with you. And if you tell me you don't know who you're voting for, then all I can think is that you're not, because you're voting for me. Like,
but that's not what she said. And that's,
I get that, but I'm just saying, like, that's my criticism, is like, I would flat out tell her, like, okay, but do you understand how that makes me really fucking nervous?
Yep.
Like, because that's what I would be like. I'm like, if you're telling me we're going to we've had all these weeks to not have to go to tribal council, you haven't at least thought about, when we do, whose name you're going to put on the parchment? No, then if you're not telling me, that means it's me.
Oh yeah, and if it doesn't, it means that it's either me or my closest ally, and either way, it means that my game in some way is being threatened.
And to critique Ben, always tell someone, have that name, tell your allies which one of you you're going to pretend it's going to be if the target asks you about it. But don't ever tell somebody you don't know, because
put them both in a hole.
Yes, how she didn't play her shot in the dark or play her idol or do, like, you have both Sorry. You have both of
Gesundheit,
those
coffee, God coffee, whatever it is.
Oh my gosh. Here, I got too heated, but they have both of those things in play. Why would you do anything to make anybody nervous?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me. Yeah, I felt she didn't handle her conversations with Ben or Tim well. I don't think that they were the worst, but it's just like she made it very clear to me that there was like something else going on, even if she didn't make it seem, or she didn't, and she made it seem that way. Bleh. Even if she didn't say it directly, you know, I just don't think she was like in the clip. She's like, "I'm a great liar." I'm like, "I love you. I don't know if you are. I don't know if you're the best liar."
No.
You try, and you try really hard, and sometimes they work, but like she just,
Ben's not either, and Ben
no,
just
nope,
my
nope.
boy, you're gonna have to do better than that. Also, these are really delicious, and they do not sponsor us, but Sparkling Ice, if you were listening, we would very much like for you to sponsor our podcast because you keep me going, you know, drenched and refreshed throughout the whole episode. Thank you. Delicious.
Let's move on to the other little idol conversation, which is Hunter, who finds the Beware advantage that got replanted after Randon left. Venus caught him. I had so many words. I'm like trying to read my notes because I thought that was going to match my thoughts, and usually it does, but it didn't this time.
She was idol blocking him.
Well,
it's like a Survivor version of cock blocking.
Well, and she was like, people were really criticizing her for how like blunt she was being. She's like, "I have no allies. The fuck do you think I was gonna do?" Like, I actually had some criticisms of like, this is what I was looking at, and I just realized how many notes I had on like Hunter. So I'm gonna like almost read them verbatim.
Okay.
Usually I don't usually do this, but like I just wasn't sure it was in his best interest to be like so open looking for the idol, because it just like I get that he's already a threat, but I just feel like that adds to the target on his back.
I think especially in the new era, if you get caught digging, if you lie and say you're not idol hunting, the main focus everyone's going to hang on to that you're sketched and that you're a liar.
No, I don't disagree with that. Let me rephrase. I'm talking about like literally just going out in the open and just looking for it. Because that's pretty much what he was doing. Was going.
I still think that like that is a safer move because I've seen so many times when someone sneaks off. If you get caught, you're gone.
But you don't have to sneak off. There have been people who have found idols by not sneaking, by collecting firewood and as they're going and doing it in different chunks. And maybe it's different on modern Survivor.
So listen, I've always thought that I would just like idle hunt and pretend I'm pooping, but apparently they do that in the water. So I don't know what I would do now.
Sarah, politely, what would you wipe with?
Leaves.
Are you sure you would pick ones up that aren't poisonous?
I mean,
would you want to wipe your ass with something?
Listen, I didn't give it much thought before this episode, Abigail. But like in my head, I always thought that like, okay, but if you need to poop, you need some privacy. So that's like the best time to go and idle hunt, and then just tell people that you're going off to poop. But
Sarah, it's like I lost that.
So now that's out the door because it's all in the water. So
I mean, unless you're taking an aqua dump right next to the idol. Doesn't ever happen.
I don't know. We're talking about poop again in this episode, and I'm here for it. We're just staying on brand.
Anyways, so I mean, and I can see the back and forth on that, but I personally think that it wasn't the smartest move to do it in do it so openly and just be like, yep, if I get caught, like obviously like just I'm not saying don't be honest in that moment, but it's just like being so bold about it when you already are a massive target for people. I was just like, it's a choice. And I'm not saying it's a wrong choice. It's just a choice personally that I I wouldn't have the balls to make.
Yeah.
Not so boldly, at least. Like, I definitely would be looking for the idol. But he's just like, boop, 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 boop. And just like, he's so open. And Venus is like, hello, what you up to? And he was just like, can't believe she said something. It's like, you were so obvious. Like, what did you want her to do? Just look at you and just be like, boop, 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 going on my way? Because she has nobody? Like, of course she was going to, like, try and stir shit up. She's playing Survivor. Anyways, I also get a little defensive of Venus because I love that woman.
I do love her.
I love it. People are always so judgy of her, and I'm just so frustrated. It's like, stop it. But Jesus Christ. We're just talking straight gibberish in this episode.
That's what it is.
Hunter still ended up finding the idol, or finding the Beware Advantage.
Right.
Not the idol. And he made actually a note that I thought that made me realize that Nami was not going to tribal council, because he made the note that it's like, oh, if I don't find this before the merge, then I still have a chance to find it. And it's like, all right, thanks for telling me everything I needed to know. So at that point, I was almost dead convinced that Seagull was going to be losing the immunity challenge. And surprise, guess what happened? Seagull lost the immunity challenge. I might come off as a huge dick for this. I've also said dick a lot in this episode. I thought that that moment when Yanu won was so over dramatic, and they could have made it a much more thrilling moment if they didn't just be like, oh man.
And then Jeff has been talking about it ad nauseum in all these interviews this week, these articles, and like justifying taking away the flint because it's more satisfying when they have a win like they did. Like, I'm sorry, like, love you, Jeff. Fuck off.
Satisfying for who? For Jeff Probst?
Yes. Like, no, I rewatched for more detailed notes, and during the rewatch, I fast forwarded.
Good. I don't watch. Once again, I said it last week. I really don't pay attention to challenges anymore. If I find out that there's something important that I need to go back to because I'm on Twitter and I see it, I'll go back. I'll go figure it out. But I'm not wasting my time. It used to be like the thing that I would look forward to. Like, it would be one of the biggest, most exciting parts of it. I'd be like, yo, skip this social bullshit right now. Not because I don't love it, but I was like, look, I just want to get to this challenge because they know there's so much at stake and there's so much that could go on.
I'm watching more of the challenges this season for sure. But if you're giving me an obstacle course puzzle, well, fuck off.
No, thank you.
But because they are different, I'm more into them. I mean, again, like we said at the top of the episode, I'm happy that they won. They did like dramatize the fuck out of it, though.
Like, it's not even saying don't do a slow-mo, but that was just like, it happened for like 10 seconds. I'm like, I figured out 8 seconds ago that Yanu won. So like, how do we speed this up? Because we could be doing so much else with this time. There is no need for this. It was a hard pass for me again. At the end of this, we get another challenge, rather. Jab. A journey. Y'all, my brain is dead right now. I've gone from angry spice, and now that my brain is finally settling down, my brain is mush. So anyways, so we have the journeys that they get to pick, and Nami isn't in control once again. For fuck's sake, why did they pick Hunter to go on this? I still don't get it. I need someone to explain the strategy to me because I'm not going to understand.
I mean, I think that we as the viewers see Hunter as a bigger threat than they are actually recognizing in the tribe right now. I feel like the vibe with Hunter and how his tribe views him is more of a valuable asset and resource.
I don't know.
And that he doesn't talk much, but when he does, he comes across as honest. So if you're going to send someone on a challenge, send someone like you trust that's going to come back and just tell you like what happened, because he's not going to have a fuck to lie to you.
Well, that part I can totally agree with.
We are recognizing a bigger threat level than they are. While they probably see him as some sort of threat, he's nowhere near as threatening to them within their own tribe as we, the viewers, can see him.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point because they're probably thinking we can have something to share together. Which, if anybody were to send me on a goddamn challenge and be like,
he made a
fucking
mattress, Abigail.
Excuse you.
He made a fucking mattress.
That's my point of when I was like, it really could be that they are just blinded to it, but like at that point I'm just like, I'm sorry, you can't be that fucking blind. I'm not trying to be an asshole. You can't.
I think they just see him as he's resourceful, he's good for their tribe, he takes care of them, and
those are notoriously, they all talk about how those are the people to get rid of.
I get it, but he has a demeanor about him that you feel like you are getting what you see and nothing else.
And I think that is why they sent him on the journey rather. I would just be all on Venus's side where I'd be like, what are we now? Not that she said that about the journey, but she's been like that about keeping him on the tribe and being like, dude's gotta leave. Like, dude's gotta go. And I'm not saying I actually think that as a fan. If I was playing the game, I'd be like, get this fuck out of my sight. I will not win this game.
Oh yeah, I think he is incredible.
He's so good.
But I do think he is one of his biggest strengths. He's very worried about his social skills in this game, but I do think that his lack of social skills is one of his biggest strengths because it is what is so disarming about him. I feel like if he was more of a leader type personality, a la Bruce maybe, and had all these skill sets, they'd be like, dude's got to go. But because he is just so vulnerably him,
I just
on a tribe with personalities like Soda and Tevin, and I feel like he's able just to sit and be the housekeeper of.
I get it. I think that's just how Ozzy ended up getting so far, though, in Cook Islands, because of that exact mentality on the tribe. He was just Mr. I can literally do anything in the world. And we've seen a lot of people like that. And so it's just like, for people who say that they are huge fans of Survivor, and then they're going into this and they're just like, la la la, let's
for all we know that they recognize that, but why would you, like, everyone else is going to recognize that post merge
because he's playing immunity challenges and he could win out if he had.
Yes, we know that, but I'm saying that also we're winning. Like, if you're on their tribe, you're thinking we're winning challenges, we're sleeping well, our fire's great, like.
But why does
let someone else do that dirty work?
But it's not about dirty work. It's about power. Because that's about, like, that's why I, like, if it was a whole thing where it's like, oh, you're sending him to make
and
this
I'm not, for the record, I'm not saying it's right by any means. I'm saying from, like, I could see their perspective being, like, very, they might very well know he's the threat he is, but are taking, reaping the benefits of him right now.
And I just don't, and I'm not saying you are even wrong in that. I am just being like, it still doesn't make sense. It makes sense, but it doesn't, like, because for the people who are just like, I know Survivor and I could totally, like you can't outsmart me, like in their interviews, it's just like, how are you not seeing this? First of all, I will give, not only is it like Venus, I'm like, yes, Venus sees it. Tevin probably sees it. He's his number one ally. What's Tevin gonna do? Are you kidding me? So I'm not including Tevin in that whatsoever. Before Randon left, it was Randon, and when Randon was dismissing Venus, I'm like, boy, what are you doing? Like,
I honestly think that within that tribe, if they were to go to tribal council like this episode, I feel like Liz would have been the one to go because
I think it would have been Soda.
Well, yeah, from the scenes from next week, yeah, I could see that, but I'm saying Liz
from next week.
Huh?
They were talking about it in this exact episode. Tevin was like, Soda got to go to. Or in the last episode, he was like, it's time to go.
Oh, they showed it in the clips for the next week's. I just watched it. Like,
oh, well, yeah, well, because that all happens because of the merge. But like last week, it was literally like, yeah, Soda got to go to.
No. I'm sorry. I'm not talking about that. but he was talking again, I guess, to somebody during the merge about like, oh, Liz hates soda is what was the comment.
Oh yeah, the Liz and soda stuff. Oh, that stuff. Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like they're really annoyed by the Liz dynamic. Like, for all we know, we haven't seen much of that tribe, so she's still running her mouth about how much money she makes.
But that's the problem going into a merge with such little information about the social dynamics on 2 of 3 tribes.
I'm gonna
Like,
pop the
cool that we
tribes.
know. I don't need to know Tiffany and Q inside out. I really don't. And I'm not trying to be like a jackass or in Kenzie. I don't need to know those 3 inside out. Not because I don't want to, but because like we have other goddamn stories to tell. I at least want to be on a similar level with the rest of the tribes, and we're not even close. Siga and Nami are definitely on each other's level, but like I want to know them to the extent that we know Yanu. Why can't we? Why don't we? And I'm sure they'll be like, well, we showed you the most important parts. We're trying to tell everybody else's story. It's like we didn't need to see all the stuff about Bonnie, though. Some of the stuff about Bonnie was way too drawn out. Some people got really, really angry and cruel about it, and there was no reason to go about it about that. It was just him having a rough time in the game. We've seen people have that. It's just that Survivor was like, and we're letting him tell his story. It's like, are you or are you just exploiting it for a certain kind of storyline? It just very much felt like that at that point for me.
I just noticed a pattern.
Yeah?
So I have the majority of Nami. You have the majority of Yanu, and we split Siga
completely down the middle.
That's funny.
Son of a bitch.
I love a pattern.
Fucking great.
Yeah. I'm excited for merge. I'm excited for this to be shaken up. I think merge is gonna help Liz, hurt Soda.
Damn, that last 30 minutes flew by like nothing else. Holy fuck. I just looked at our timer. I thought we were like at like 35 minutes. Psych. I was like, why is she bringing this graphic up so early?
No, it's not early, babe. We're at the end of the episode.
I know
but we did jump. We just jumped around because we talked tribal, we talked to the vote out, we talked journey, we talked just not in order. It's fine.
But I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's more fine to talk about it as long as we're covering everything that needs to get covered. But just for the reminder, so Siga did go to tribal council. The vote was 4-2. Mariah's the only one besides Jem that's getting left out of the vote. She's the only one coming back to camp that's been left out of the vote. So I'm also curious to see how she is going to react to that. You know, no matter which way Charlie and Maria went, it wasn't going to be great for them going into Murgatory right now to have this decision, just because somebody was going to be mad no matter what. Because they would have been left out of the vote, because Tim would have been pissed if he had been left out of the vote, and he was the one person coming back, because he's like, well, Maria, like I trusted you, we're the Parents Alliance, and what is he gonna do? I almost wonder if part of the decision was about who was being left, like who was more risky to leave behind. Would it be Tim? Would Tim be more volatile and go to another tribe if that happened to him, if he was betrayed, or would it be Mariah? And I actually think I think they made in that case the correct decision, because I think Tim would have had absolutely no qualms with saying deuces, maybe playing them for a little bit until he could say deuces at tribal council, but like I think he would have totally flipped on them if they had betrayed him like that. Versus where, like, I'm not saying Mariah wouldn't, but I think that she's much more loyal in this kind of a situation where you still have Tim, who, as long as whatever Maria's doing, he'll do whatever the hell she wants to do too. Because he's got this whole new alliance that he's potentially working with. So,
yeah,
that was a whole lot of words.
It's fine. I'm just staring at it. Like, yeah, Charlie's in the best spot on Siga.
I'm vocally processing how I feel about this, because I don't even know if that's how I fully feel. But it is how I feel. It's just word salad.
I still think Tevin's in the best spot on Nami.
God, I love him. I love him so much.
And Tiffany's the best spot on Yanu.
Tiffany is in one of the best spots in the game.
In the whole game, yeah.
You know, I'm going to be curious also to see what happens with Kenzie, because the whole mastermind thing is out there, and I can't wait to see how that's going to play out. Oh, man. This is it's going to be fun. I'm really excited for this. But
and competitively speaking, the person in the best spot and on every tribe is on my draft. So
fuck off.
I am happy.
Rot in hell. Happy Easter. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to hell.
I can't stop eating Easter candy.
I'm gonna go chow on some after this. Anything else before we wrap up today?
No, I loved this.
This was a good one. I enjoyed this. I got out of my nasty mood about halfway through.
I know. Do you feel better? Did you get your big feelings out? This might help you. Let's look at the draft. It looks like
it's not gonna help me, Sarah.
It is. I'm down 3. You're down 2.
I don't necessarily feel confident in my picks right now. Half of them. I still actually really like my pick.
Technically winning right now.
Technically. We also haven't decided a punishment. I said a month ago I was going to ask TikTok about that, so that's my homework for tonight. Finally ask TikTok about that. But I am actually going to go watch Dondi after this. Oh, thumbs down, Sarah. Why?
I don't know.
I don't either. That was so random. Did your hair accidentally trigger the thumbs down thing or something?
That's really freaking weird.
If you're watching the video, we're just playing around right now. Just being fuckheads. She's trying to get this little thing to trigger, and I'm just...
I don't know. That's really weird.
I don't understand.
My hands aren't even in frame. Whatever.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Wicked Unscripted. If you like what you hear, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Fill in all the words. We're also regularly posting updates on our TikTok account, so make sure you follow us at It's Abigail Adams, Sarah Talks Big Brother, and Wicked Unscripted. For more, if you want to ask a question, share your thoughts, or leave a tip, email the podcast at Wicked Unscripted pod@gmail.com for more. That is Wicked.
Or just fucking email us and say hi, damn it.
Also,
yeah, I would love to get an email that wasn't a bill, spam, or one of my kids' teachers telling me what they did to fuck up that day.
Straight up.
Just send me a nice email.
Please. We are also just looking for fresh and diverse voices to join the conversation. That's the first time I've screwed that one up in a while. So slow clap for Abigail. But with that, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.